Brilliant. Thanks everyone for joining today. We're really excited for this webinar. So I'm going to dive right in. The problem that we're looking at is that businesses have complex financial rhythms where you need to try and get invoices from suppliers, subscriptions, and basically try and get those posted to your financial systems. Now, businesses manage risk in different ways, but the two key things are it needs to end up in a financial system. And the second thing is it normally requires some kind of manager approval to say that it was a valid expense. Now, this takes potentially hundreds of hours away from key staff, especially staff that are normally seniors, so manager levels, as well as finance teams. And they could be spending their time on more beneficial things for the business, like growing your bottom line. All right, so with that, welcome to the webinar. My name is Stephen McLennan. I am the founder of the SaaS Jedi. So we are a Monday partner, and I've spent probably the last 10 years helping businesses implement technology, building workflows, and automating technology to save their team's time. All right, so in terms of the webinar, really excited about it. What we're going to be looking at today is Monday's new AI feature. So we're going to be looking at that in the context of financial rhythms and financial processes to give you some ideas around potentially how you could use it in your business. And then we'll be taking it from there. A few things just to cover before we get started. It will be a short webinar, it's just 30 minutes. So, we'd love to kind of show you what we've got here. So please, phones to the side and focus on what we're talking about and hopefully get some really nice questions and insight that you can take away for your businesses. Second thing is we will be doing questions and answers at the end. If at any point you want to ask a question, bottom right of your screen, you'll see a little activities icon. It looks like a triangle, a square, and a circle. We can click on that and you can ask questions and we'll make sure we tackle those at the end. And then the last one is, at the end of this, if you want to give Monday AI a free try and sort of add it to your account, or you want to give Monday a go, by all means, let us know. We will have a form at the end to get your feedback, and you can just let us know on that, and we'll reach out to you and sort that out for you. All right. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Ryan from Monday.com, who's going to tell us a little bit about Monday AI. Ryan.
Hi, everyone, and so happy to be here with you today. My name is Ryan. I work for Monday.com, and I'm a partnerships manager here based in our London office. And I work really closely with Stephen, Anthony, and the rest of the SaaS Jedi team on helping their customers do more with Monday. So what I'm going to share with you today really briefly is why we made Monday AI. Essentially, it's an easy-to-use functional way for us to use AI in our day-to-day workflow if you're working inside of Monday already. Monday AI is a no-code edition that embeds it into the real work that we do repetitively rather than you needing to jump out and go to a different app. Some things it can do is it can automatically create tasks. It can summarize long conversations. It can improve your writing, things that you've maybe seen AI do in the past. But what we want to focus on today is how Monday AI can help billing and finance teams through automatic categorization, through sentiment detection, and through detecting content in documents or images. For example, a photo of an invoice or a photo of a receipt. I don't know how many times you come across that, and then you have to do something manual with it. Monday essentially will do something called optical character recognition that we'll talk a little bit about, and we'll demo for you live. But essentially, I'm excited to share Monday AI with you today because I feel it will really save you some time or help you predict some risk for some things that are easily missed that happen in your day-to-day. And as Stephen said, let you use that time towards something that's more productive. So I'll hand it back to Stephen, and really excited to be with you guys today.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Ryan. So, as Ryan mentioned, the AI is great, right? It's really powerful and cool. But the biggest problem we've seen with AI is that it's difficult and expensive to implement. You tend to always get different results. And it always involves you stepping out of your workflow to use it. So let's use a real world example. Everyone's played around with ChatGPT. So you want to have a go at it. You're working on something. You'll go through to ChatGPT. You'll open up a little chat box. You will start having a conversation. You'll do your prompts to kind of refine the response. You'll get what you want out of that, and then you'll start trying to do something with that. And that's great, really powerful. Problem is the next person who tries to do that won't get the same response. You're never quite sure what kind of response you're going to get. Is it going to be a bulleted list, a numbered list, a table? Is it just going to be sort of dialogue in paragraphs? And you also don't know if the quality is always the same. So the output's always a little bit uncertain. And the worst bit is that if someone else from your team tries to do the same thing, they're going to get an unpredictable or different response. And that's the part where we're really excited about Monday. So Monday AI lets you actually put AI into your workflows, which means that you can easily add it. And it means that any person using that workflow can get the same result and use it in an easy way that doesn't require complex prompt engineering. So as I mentioned, obviously really excited around this. And I think we're going to just dive right in. And I'm going to ask Anthony from my team to take you through this example that we're going to be doing today. So Anthony, over to you.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm Anthony from the SaaS Jedi, and I'm a Monday specialist, and I'll be walking you through the demo today. So let's just start by discussing a situation that many businesses face. All right, so imagine a company where every invoice needs to be signed off by a manager before being processed by finance. We'll follow the story of George, an employee dealing with this process. So George receives an invoice and emails it to his manager, Susan, for approval. Time passes, and Susan can't remember what the invoice is for. She emails George with questions, and then George has to dig through old emails and meeting notes to provide context. After some back and forth, Susan then approves the invoice. George then forwards the approval and invoice to Carol in finance. Carol might have additional questions about tracking codes, confirming who the supplier is, etc., and processes the payment, leading to more emails. Finally, Carol manually captures the invoice, checks it against the source, and approves it, and processes the payment. Now, this entire process involves multiple steps, several people, and numerous emails. Now, this might work for one invoice, but what happens when George has 10 or more to process? Suddenly, he's drowning in a sea of invoices and emails, trying to keep track of approvals and follow-ups. This inefficient process is what many businesses struggle with, but there's a better way. And in a moment, we'll show you how Monday can streamline the entire workflow, saving time and reducing errors. All right, so let's jump into the demo and see how it works. Okay, now that we've seen how inefficient the traditional invoice approval process can be, let's explore a better way using Monday.com and AI. We have a simple invoices approval board set up here that streamlines the entire process. Here's how it works. So an employee can send an email directly to the designated make email address that you'll see up here. And then as you can see down there, I've added an attachment that is an invoice. I will then go ahead and send that. All right, so our automations powered by Make process this email and it creates a new item on our board. The system automatically assigns an approver based on the submitter using our predefined approvers list, as you can see over here. Very easy, very quick to understand. So we can see I sent it, so the manager would be Stephen. Let's head over back to the invoice approvals. It should pop up in a moment. Okay, so now here's where it gets interesting, everyone. So as we've mentioned, we see the invoices here. There is an approval, the email that it's been sent from, the submitter name, the date, as well as the file, the original file that we can see over here, right? Now, here's where it gets interesting. So Monday uses OCR, also known as optical character recognition, to extract key information from the invoice. So what we've done is we set up a few different AI columns here. And what it has extracted from that invoice is the currency, the value, the invoice date, the description, the invoice company. And then what the AI has also attempted to do is it's extracted the information and tried to categorize the type of expense. And this extracted information allows managers to quickly review and approve invoices without having to manually input data or search through emails. If they need the information, they can easily communicate with the submitter right on the board, keeping all conversations in one place. So let's say I've now gone, I'm happy with this. I'm going to kick off this workflow. I'm going to say it's approved. What should happen is my manager is being asked to review it. All right, as we can see, unfortunately, the manager says it's stuck. Stephen is, got a query here. Let's see if he's added an update. There we go. Please, can you remind me for what this was for? So what the beauty is of that this way is that the entire workflow maintains visibility. Everyone that's involved in the process has access to it, and they're always up to date. All right, but now this is one email, right? What happens when George has 10 emails to pull off? Let's go here again. All right, we have the designated make email address, and we're going to send off a bunch of different invoices. Send. What you're about to see is our automations are about to process all this information in real time, assigning submitters and approvers, and extracting key data. I think while this takes some time, Stephen can speak to something just about how AI works and all the exciting opportunities in the space of AI.
Amazing. So with the AI, what's really cool is it actually functions at 3 levels, right? So if we scroll right, we've got the most basic use case, which is basically just adding the columns and saying you want Monday to use AI to figure it out. So we've got on the far right, there's an allocation column that we've used. You can see their account. And all we've done for this one is we've just said, okay, great, Monday, use the description from the item and try and figure out where it belongs. And it's allocated that to memberships. Okay. We've then got something a little bit more, which is you can give it some guidance. So if we go to invoice company as an example, we've said, great, can you extract the company name? And just note, it's not the SaaS Jedi, right? So it's obviously going to see different company names, and it's going to say, well, actually, if I see the SaaS Jedi, it's not that one. And so you're able to get very minimal prompting, some fairly decent answers. And then one step further than that is going to be what Monday's got around training. So what Monday has is with a board like this, you've got each of these individual columns, and each of these columns has obviously got R running in the background. And what Monday does is it lets you almost guide it. So in an example, you may find that Monday maybe doesn't have an allocation for a specific item. If you start allocating those items or you start changing the allocations, Monday AI is actually going to learn from that, right? So it's going to take whatever you've kind of allocated and said, I thought it was entertainment, it was actually stationery. And you're going to refine that. And the next time one of those items pops up, it's going to say, well, actually, this was from a company, I didn't know what it was for. Wait, you allocated it against stationery. And so it's actually going to learn. And so that's really powerful because it means that you're not just training an algorithm to work somewhere, you're training a very specific like Monday column that's got a prompt set up for it. And it's going to learn based on the contents of that board for that column in that situation. So incredibly powerful, and actually doesn't require any technical skills to be able to get that to work. As luck would have it, I'm not sure why it hasn't come through. Let's have a quick look in the background here. Sorry about this, everyone. This is unfortunately the problem of live demos, I believe. So, I mean, I'm sure it's going to come through shortly. We will wait a moment for that. I think in the meantime, what we could probably do, Anthony, is we could probably just switch across and start doing a few questions. All right, so in terms of questions, we had a few that were sent through beforehand. I'm going to start tackling those. And if you've got any other questions, please let us know. You can add them in the bottom right. The first one is, what will Monday AI cost? So this isn't, Monday AI currently is in beta. So, they're obviously trying to figure out, how it fits into the ecosystem. Most other platforms will charge an additional fee for Monday AI. What we're expecting is that it'll most likely be rolled into one of the platforms or products, and depending on Pro, Enterprise, whatever the case is, it will add. You will have that functionality potentially available. Rich, I do see your hand up. 1 sec.
Very helpful. I guess just to understand. I mean, it's great that it sort of cuts down on the backward and forward between the explanatory emails going backwards and forwards, but often there needs to be some sort of supporting document that needs to go with the invoice. Maybe it's a budget or it's an email previously where you agreed to spend this. Just to cut down on that backward and forward. Is there an ability to attach other supporting documents, or is it kind of like, sorry, it's that single invoice, and if you want to get any clarification, you go into the chat box and type your comment?
Yeah, a great question, Rich. So it depends how the workflow is set up. We obviously, to give you an idea, so this workflow, took about an hour and a half to put the thing together. Probably points to the reason why we had a little bit of troubleshooting there. But it depends how you set it up. So as an example, if you wanted to submit more than just the invoice itself, you could potentially do that. And you can kind of look at some logic around how you extract what is an invoice and what is not. It does get a little bit tricky around like PDFs, because how do you extract it? The other thing as well is often what will happen is when you email these items in, you will put content in your email. So
and then when you say there's a sort of single approver, where a person might have a need to direct different emails at different approvers, I presume it can be done. So it doesn't always just automatically go to a line manager. You could presumably select various approvers for different categories of invoices or different types of invoices.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Anthony, would you mind just sharing the Monday board again? We put together for this one was actually the approvers column on the bottom left there. And all this was, and if you go to the bottom left, that board on the bottom left, the approvers board, this was a very simple one, just saying who's the person who's the manager. In something a little bit more technical, if you go back to the invoice approvals, you could have a manual assignment to say, great, I want to go to this person. You could also say, well, if it came from this person and it was assigned to this department, maybe you could build that logic in. That logic is actually being handled by Make. It's because it allows you to do a little bit more kind of technical kind of if statements and things like that, which Monday can't presently do. I see, sorry, out of interest, in the background, we've had all those items built. So, but ultimately, Rich, you can build all of that logic there, right? Depending on what you want. And yeah, it's not too complex to be able to do that.
Cool, thanks.
Super.
Give someone else a chance.
Awesome. Dieter, 1 sec. I will add you here. We're learning something valuable about sorry, Rich, I will save you the mic and I will make you down to viewer to save you. How's it, Dieter? There we go.
Hey, Stephen, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thanks. Just a question. I see there's a column that says zero status. Can you integrate, for instance, the workflow on Monday.com with zero, meaning that once all the relevant people approved, Monday.com can actually then automatically send the invoice to your zero email address to ensure that only approved invoices are being sent to zero, and then we can take it from there.
Dieter, you're going to love this one. So this is actually a specialty of ours. So Monday doesn't natively integrate with Zero, but we've kind of specialized in building the connector between Monday, make, and Xero. So one step forward, I know, normally you would have you email the attachment into Xero, and then you kind of hope Xero captures the right information. You most likely have to manually do it.
Yeah.
So what we normally do is we actually, when you set up a workflow like this, you actually align it to your chart of accounts. So you know exactly which account it's going to, whatever the case is. And so the minute the manager approves it, and often you'll also have a third layer, which may be finance. As soon as it's approved, it can post it directly into Xero. And you can factor in things like, depending on how it's built, you can factor in, is it a VAT vendor? Do you want it to match it to a predefined Xero contact? So you can actually do syncs between, Xero through make into Monday, update your contacts board, and you've literally got the Xero IDs. And so it's not just a matter of like getting into Xero and then you still got to manually capture it. You literally post the completed item directly into Xero against the right chart of account with tracking categories against the right contact. And you can basically build that out. It's obviously a little bit more complex than what we've shown here, but you absolutely can.
Yeah, okay, then that sounds great because that's going to save a lot of time or duplicate of approval process. But I think the key here is it only goes to Xero once the relevant approvals has been obtained.
Absolutely. Okay. Thanks, Dieter.
Thanks, Ian.
Awesome. So perfect. I know we are running a little bit tight on time. One thing I do just want to show quickly, if we just go a little bit right there, Anthony, so we are seeing the bills that came through. Obviously, in a closed demo, when you wanted to come through in 30 seconds, it does take 2 minutes. But what I wanted to show you, and this was actually the example, you'll see there that the second item, and there were two things I wanted to point out here. But one is the second item there is actually a Miro invoice, and Miro doesn't give an indication in its description that it's a software. So Monday didn't know what to do, it didn't allocate it. Now, if you went to this and you said, actually, this is a software subscription, the next time that a similar invoice comes in, Monday would be like, actually, that's great. I know this is the software subscription. And it could actually learn from that. So that's the first one. And the second one, which I always find really cool, if you guys look at the third and fourth items there for Webflow, you will see that both from Webflow look fairly similar, but Monday is allocated to web hosting and software subscription. I absolutely love this because the first one is a website from Webflow, and the second one is actually a platform fee for Webflow. And so it's actually correctly allocated both of those items just based on the description and the content, which is, I think, really cool. And we literally didn't prompt this at all. We just said, these are the accounts, extract the description, look at the description, and assign it. So just to give you an idea about how powerful this is, there is a lot there, which is really nice. Yes, I see a hand up. Was that a hand or a question? Since we have another one, here we go. So a bit of another question. Would we have a unique email for each Monday board set up in order to separate business invoices to company? Absolutely, you can. A lot of this is being done through Make that allows you to stretch it out. So yes.
I was actually the one that sent that question, Stephen. I want to just add on to it. I just wanted to ask, does it also give you the ability to split it in terms of like, let's say you have a number of business units or companies within that you look after, where the invoice would actually allocate it to that specific unit on the same board? Does it have that functionality that you can allocate it, or would it just be like, I guess the first question standard, you can just allocate it per board instead?
So if I understand correctly, you've got multiple companies, you're emailing items into a central board for all of those companies, and you want to potentially be able to process those for the companies, potentially different line managers, and even pushing into different Xero accounts. Is that right?
Correct. That's correct.
Absolutely. It obviously requires a bit more setup. You just connect it through different API keys to different accounts. We've actually done something similar recently, and you absolutely can. It's just a matter of just designing the boards and making sure the workflow is tight. But yes, you can.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Stephen.
Awesome. Widuda, I know we are. This is probably the last question. Let's give you a voice. 1 second.
In the meanwhile, are there any other questions in the Q&A that we want to answer as a last one? While you can feel free to unmute yourself at any time if you want to cut in. But
got you. I think the only other one that's probably worth calling out is just, why would you do this instead of using something like HubDoc or Receipt Bank? I thought that was quite a good one. And it is, you do get specialist tools that do this. The problem is, it means it's another license cost. It's very niche. And, if you're trying to get 20, 30, 40, 50 people from your organization onto that tool, it's one other place they have to work. And it's jarring to use. What's nice about this is it's where you currently work, right? So it means that you can do notifications, you can do reminders, people are working in the same place, and you're just adding one more discipline onto that, which is why you would pretty much use a tool like this. So absolutely.
Great.
Sorry, Stephen. I thought that was unmuted. My apologies. Is there a way that AI can pick up when the entity details of an invoice that's been submitted is incorrect?
Got you. So
like the VAT number or
So, and you're saying, I would do if I understand correctly, that the numbers on the document are wrong, or the numbers submitted by the enterprise?
On the actual invoice is incorrect. So let's say we're dealing with 3 entities and it had to be allocated to a specific entity and the incorrect entity's details are on the invoice.
Yeah, theoretically you could, right? As long as if you're syncing information into your CRM or to your contact board, and that information has the VAT numbers included, which you normally sync from your financial system, you could theoretically extract the VAT number from the document. We obviously have to test it to see how accurately it does that. And then you can actually compare them. And again, a lot of these joins, which get a little bit more complex, you use Make just to fill in the blanks. So it does work really well with Monday, just phenomenally well, those two tools. All right. Guys, I'm afraid we are out of time. I know we had a slight stumble there with timing, but hopefully it was really insightful for you. It was really enjoyable for us. If I can just ask, there is a QR code on the screen. We're going to include a link in the chat as well. You can just let us know, firstly, how the webinar was in this form. And secondly, if you would like to try and get access to Monday AI, either on your account, or if you don't have a Monday account, would like the whole shebang set up, you can just let us know on the form. We'll be in touch and we'll help you sort of get access to that so you can start playing around with it. So I have put the form in chat. Otherwise, you can scan the QR code that Anthony is sharing there. All right, fantastic. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it. We're going to stay on the call for a little bit longer while you guys scan the code and hopefully give us some feedback. We'd really appreciate that. And then we'll also be distributing this link. We'll be uploading it to YouTube and sharing it in maybe in sort of small installments. But yeah, thank you very much.